Come on now. Well. It is Super Tuesday. It is time to vote. Hopefully, everybody who is eligible and can legally vote will get out there and vote today in the greatest country on God's green earth. We've already casted our vote here today in our state. Kennedy was on the ballot. It was not very tempting. It was pretty easy to still decide who to vote for. Donald J. Trump, because we need 4 good years of Trump, Kennedy, Musk, Gabbard, Vivek, and I always forget JD Vance, but we do need JD Vance in there too. So as we wait, that's all we're pretty much doing right now is just waiting all day long. We will be waiting. So it's going to be a long day. I will be probably back here this evening as well, but I had a few minutes to just jump in and see what is going on in the world right now. Play a little bit of this.
Do continue our live coverage. Moments ago, we did see Senator J.D. Vance, Trump's running mate, go into a polling location to cast his ballot over in Cincinnati, Ohio. He is now walking up to the cameras here, so I do want to pop up the audio.
Hey guys, good morning. Good to see y'all. Appreciate you coming out to see one of the great traditions, of course, in American democracy. I, of course, voted for Donald Trump and myself. So did my wife, and we also, for all the locals out there, we voted for Bernie Moreno for the United States Senate. And if you want the policies of Donald J. Trump in the United States Senate, then Bernie Moreno is the only candidate in this race who I think is the candidate of peace and prosperity for the United States Senate. So I hope people will get President Trump over the finish line. I hope people here in Ohio will get Bernie Moreno over the finish line. Look, I feel good. You never know until you know, but I feel good about this race. I felt good about my own race a couple of years ago when I voted in this exact same spot. Hopefully it goes as well for President Trump and me as it went for me a couple of years ago in the state of Ohio. So appreciate you guys being here. Happy to take a few questions. You obviously can see my kids bouncing around here. There's Usha. And, we'll take a few questions, but we're going to hit the road, go back home, and then head off to Palm Beach.
Senator, regardless of the results tonight, half the country probably won't be satisfied with the results.
Sure.
What's your message to them, potentially your supporters, if it doesn't go the way that they wanted it?
Well, look, I think our message is, first of all, we do expect to win, but obviously no matter who wins, half the country, as you said, is going to be at least partially disappointed. I think my attitude is the best way to heal the rift in the country is to try to govern the country as well as we can, create as much prosperity as we can for the American people, and remind our fellow Americans that we are all fundamentally on the same team, however we voted. I certainly hope you vote for Donald J. Trump today. I think that his policies are going to promote peace and prosperity for our citizens. But if you vote the wrong way, in my view, I'm still going to love you. I'm still going to treat you as a fellow citizen. And if I am lucky enough to be your vice president, I'm going to fight hard for your dreams and for your family over the next 4 years.
Senator, do you have an opinion on who will fill your Senate seat if you win?
No, look, I'm way too superstitious to think about those things. Let's get this election over the finish line. Let's make Donald J. Trump the president-elect, and then we'll worry about what happens afterwards. No, actually, he called me about 3 a.m, apparently from the plane headed from Michigan to Palm Beach last night. I was in bed at the time. I haven't been able to talk to him this morning. I was going to call him as soon as I woke up, but when I realized that he got back home around 5:30 last night, I decided hopefully he's asleep, and so I'm not going to call him. I'll certainly talk to him probably on the way to the airport or when we land.
Senator, you grew up 20 miles away, Middletown, now you're standing here. Maybe in a few hours you'll be the next vice president.
Yeah.
How are you feeling about that in that moment? Here to here, to possibly second command.
Look, it's an amazing thing. My heart is just overwhelmed with gratitude to the generosity of the American people. The fact that I'm standing here is very much a testament to the fact that we live in the greatest country in the history of the world. The fact that I have a beautiful wife and 3 beautiful kids is more importantly a testament to the fact that we live in the greatest country in the world. So I think that what today represents is an opportunity to pay down a debt that I owe to this country. And if I am the vice president, I'm going to work as hard as I can to pay down that debt. I don't think I'll ever be able to return what this country has given to me, but I'm going to try, but we have to win first.
Sir.
My most important message is we ought to argue, disagree about, persuade each other about politics. That's part of the natural process. but we can't discard friends and we can't discard family members. I think that if we all just recognize this basic principle that we ought to love people, we ought to be friends with people, we ought to be family members with people, regardless of their politics, that would do a lot to heal the division. I know myself, I've had a lot of friends, not a lot, I've had a few friends who have cast their friendship aside because I decided that I wanted Donald J. Trump to be the winner in the last election and in this election. I think that's a tragedy, and I'm not going to follow that example. I'd say to everybody, whether you're voting for Donald Trump or voting for Kamala Harris, remember, friends and family, that stuff is what really, really matters. We ought to be kind to one another. We ought to treat each other with respect. And fundamentally, what we're trying to do, President Trump and I, is just build the kind of country where our fellow Americans can achieve their dreams. But that's all of our fellow Americans, regardless of who they vote for. We'll take one more question.
With the recent polling in Iowa over the weekend from Harris and that, are you concerned at all that this could potentially bleed over states like Ohio?
No, I'm not too worried about that. Look, one outlier poll doesn't change what we've seen on the ground. We feel very good about the energy. We feel very good about the early vote. But ultimately, the ball is in the courts of the American people. Today is the day. If you don't want an open border, vote for Donald Trump. If you want to get back to low inflation and affordable groceries, vote for Donald Trump. If you want to return the world to peace and stability, vote for Donald Trump. That's my pitch to voters. I really do believe that we can have a golden age of prosperity in the United States of America, but voters are going to ultimately make that choice. I don't worry about any one poll. I think that we're going to win. I really do, but ultimately the voters make that decision. We'll see what they think about this by the end of the day, hopefully. God bless you guys. Thank you. Ready?
All right, there you have it. Senator J.D. Vance, Trump's running mate, did speak to members of the media after he voted over in Cincinnati, Ohio. Now, we do expect at some point today we'll get an image of Trump voting over in Florida. But as you know, Kamala Harris, vice president there, did actually mail in her ballot already. So we're not going to have any image of her mailing that in. It already did happen. And I believe around 11:30 a.m. Eastern time, that is when we are going to hear from her running mate, Tim Walz, as he does speak alongside his wife, Gwen. So we'll bring that to you in full. Any other campaign events that pop up, we'll make sure to bring those to you live, raw, and unfiltered here on Live Now from Fox. Also do want to pop up this live image that we do have coming in out of Georgia. That is where we expect an update from state officials. You can see the sign there for Brad Raffensperger on the bottom of your screen. He's been providing daily updates as to the situation there with early voting. And of course, today he'll let us know if there were any issues reported so far. But we will bring that to you the second it gets underway right here on Live Now from Fox. Also do want to check in with some of our other affiliates across the country. We do have our team over in Houston. This is over at Fox 26 Houston. So let's pop up the audio and listen in as they are in live coverage.
Republican Marshall Slott is challenging Sheriff Eric Fagan. He is a Democrat. Now, the most controversial issue on some ballots in Fort Bend County, most of Sugar Land included, it is the race between Andy Myers, a Republican, and Taral Patel. He's a Democrat. He's the challenger. Of course, Patel is, of course, currently under indictment, accused of creating fake online identities to fabricate charges of racism. He's denying those charges. Another big item on the ballot getting attention in Sugar Land is Proposition E, which would issue $12 million in bonds for city facilities, including a brand new animal shelter. It is important to note that Fort Bend County voters
ID that every voter needs to provide when they come to vote in Virginia. There's a list of acceptable IDs that includes everything from a driver's license to a utility bill.
Luca Powell with the Richmond Times-Dispatch. Do you have a question? Okay, going on to Patricia Beckford. Do you have a question?
I'll cut back in here,
Right,
just
that
waiting.
wraps up
I think they do have some video of Trump actually voting or something. So that should be up if it's not. But we're seeing, looking at this channel here, this Fox News channel, one of their local channels, it does look like they have a lot of, they are holding a lot of pressers right now. But here is this is where I'll be tracking right here, and I'll put this link in there if anybody wants to follow it or check it out here. But this will be a good one. There's going to be, everybody's going to have them. You're going to see them everywhere. But this is what we have here. So this will be the map, and then the battlegrounds, presidential race. So pretty good way to kind of catch it all. But obviously the polls have not closed. Some of these polls actually will close around 4 p.m. it looks like. And then the final one in Alaska at 10 p.m. And then we will see. We will see where we are at. So just keep that in mind if you do want to follow along there. This will be a great place to just kind of check out what's happening in your state. You just click on it and it will tell you exactly what is going on in that state. So no Trump here in Oregon. It's kind of weird. Okay. Well, we'll see what happens there. Yeah, that's pretty odd. Cornel West and Kennedy, that's kind of about it. So in Oregon, they have cast 1,432,000 votes so far. A lot of those Democrat and Republican, some Republican too, unaffiliated and third party. So this will be a great website to check back on. Looking at another one, Vote Hub. I'll be checking this one out too to see what is going on with the election results. A nice little map there that they have. And it all comes down to this, to today. So we go to results. I don't think there's going to be anything there yet. But votehub.com will be one of the places we'll be following to see what happens here. Maybe I'll go back, play a little bit more of this.
Everyone on the teams.
All right, that was a news conference there underway with officials over in Virginia. Now, we are going to be getting updates all throughout the day. We expect in the coming minutes there should be updates that are provided by Pennsylvania. In the coming minutes, there should be updates that are provided by Pennsylvania officials as well as those in Georgia. So we'll make sure to bring those to you as they happen. Do want to discuss some of the measures on the ballot here. One of them, marijuana. People in 4 states will vote on the future of marijuana legislation. We're talking Florida, Nebraska, North Dakota, and South Dakota. All of them do have marijuana on the ballot. Former President Trump has said that he supports Florida's legalization of marijuana and that if elected, he will work with Congress to, quote, pass common sense laws regarding marijuana. Vice President Harris has said she feels that, quote, we need to legalize it and stop criminalizing that behavior. Also in Massachusetts, medical and recreational marijuana is already legal, but this time around, voters will decide whether to decriminalize the personal use of psychedelic substances. Those are already legal in Oregon and Colorado. The time now 10:27 on the East Coast and 7:27 on the West Coast. Do have to head to a quick 2-minute break, but much more coverage to get.
The key ones are the Senate seat that's being held right now by Senator Tim Kaine. He's looking for 3rd term. He's running against Hung Kao, who is a Navy veteran. He has been a very formidable contender here. As you might know, he ran for the 10th Congressional District back in 2022. He did not win that race, but he is very much in line here with Kaine keeping toe-to-toe. They talk about immigration issues, tariffs. That's been the big concern here amongst those two. But polls have shown that Kao was trailing Kaine in the polls by 14 points. So that's pretty significant. Let's talk about the congressional races. We're focusing on the 10th district, also the 7th congressional district. No incumbent in the ballot this year in both of those races, but in the 10th district, current Democratic Congresswoman Jennifer Wexton is not seeking re-election because of her health issues. The race is now between Democrat Suhas Subramanian and Republican Mike Clancy. The 7th congressional district, Democrat Eugene Vindman facing off against Republican Derek Anderson. Vindman has focused on reproductive rights. He's also touted his military experience, while Anderson has talked about the economy and illegal immigration. We did speak with voters this morning who say whatever the outcome is today, they're just hoping for a better Virginia. Take a listen.
It's a big district, but we've got it's been it's been a fun campaign. We've got a lot of tremendous energy, a lot of enthusiasm from the voters. And, it's really become.
And this looks like Trump has entered the building here. Let's play a little bit of this. I guess can't find anything with better video quality, but there it is.
Where would you like us here?
There he is.
Okay for you? How are you? Okay. Well, I hear, I don't know, the people you mean, numbers of people, a lot of people. They'll be at the convention center at Mar-a-Lago. We have a lot of people. I've just been very honored to find out that the lines are long, and the conservative lines, the Republican lines are very long. We got back pretty late last night, and it was an honor. It was a great honor. We had 4 incredible rallies and left Michigan late at night. Many of you were with us, and I hear we're doing very, very well. I hear we're doing very well. We did a great job in that we brought it back to the states, as you know. I believe in exceptions, as Ronald Reagan did. And we did a great job. We did something that they've wanted to do for 52 years. Yes, please. Well, it'll be just that. We want to bring everybody in. We want to be very inclusive, and we will be very inclusive. We have a great country, but we have a country that's in trouble. It's in big trouble in many ways, and we have to straighten it out. We have crime is through the roof. We have people pouring through our borders that are not exactly perfect. They come out of prisons. 13,000 people convicted of murder. We don't need this in our country. We have enough difficulty. We don't need that. So I think people saw that. And it just seems that the conservatives are voting very powerfully. Just finish it up. No, I feel very confident. I have felt, we went in with a very big lead today. And it looks like Republicans have shown up in force. So we'll see how it turns out. But it seems that they have really shown up in force. I just got a call from Dan Patrick in Texas. He said they've never seen anything like it. It's been very good. Look, regrets. You always have regrets. I can't think of any, to be honest, to use her expression. I can't think of any. I ran a great campaign. I think it was maybe the best of the 3. We did great in the first one. We did much better in the second one, but something happened. And this was the best. I would say this was the best campaign we ran.
Do you accept the possibility that you and Vice President Harris both might not get to 270 electoral votes by the end of tonight?
It should never happen. A thing like that should never happen. This election should be over. They spend all this money on machines. And frankly, if they'd use paper ballots, it would be over by 10 o'clock. And by the way, the paper ballots would cost 8%. It would be 8% of the cost. If they would use paper ballots, voter ID, proof of citizenship, and one-day voting, it would all be over by 10 o'clock in the evening. It's crazy. They use these very expensive computers, and I'm hearing in Pennsylvania they won't have an answer till 2 or 3 days from now. I think it's an absolute outrage if that's the case. Now, maybe it'll be later, but it's paper ballots in France. They went paper ballots because the mail-in was not working. It was corrupt. And in France, they went paper ballots. And at 10 o'clock in the evening, they had 37 million votes counted and done. They had a winner, they had a loser. And in this country, I'm just hearing that in certain states, it's going to be a long time, and it won't even be close. It won't even be that close. They say, I'm going to win the state, but it's going to take a long time to certify it.
Could you see a world where you don't declare victory tonight?
Yeah, I'm hearing the same things that you're hearing. I'm hearing states where I'm up by a lot, but they won't have a final number for a long time. so forth. So we're going to have a very special group of people, many of whom you know, and they'll be at Mar-a-Lago. In addition, we'll have 4,000 or 5,000 people at the convention center. On the assumption I win, I mean, I don't know if something else happens. I don't know what's going to happen in terms of declaring victory. But if in normal times, I would go over to the convention center, let's say at 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock or something. But I just don't know. It looks like we have a very substantial lead. It looks like we have many more Republicans voting today than Democrats. So if you have a lead and we have a bigger vote, that means you're doing very well. But they have to call a winner. They should. And they should call a winner, yes. Just stop talking about that. Go ahead. Oh, I don't know. I was honored to get Joe Rogan last night. I mean, Joe Rogan's a big deal. He's a very respected person. And I must tell you, Megyn was fantastic. She got up and said some things that were really pretty amazing. But before that, I just think we ran a good campaign. I had good policy. We want people to come into our country, but they have to come in legally. You know, we want strong borders, and we want people to come in. We want to be totally inclusive, but they have to come in. I think that was a big issue. To me, that was the biggest issue. I may be wrong. You know, a lot of people said inflation. Inflation's a disaster, but I think it's a second issue. I think the first is the border. We can't allow criminals to be put back into our country or to be put into our country. So you have 13,000 plus murderers allowed to roam in our country. Not going to be allowed. They have to go. You have drug dealers. You have terrorists. You have a tremendous amount of people that should not be in our country. And we need strong borders in this country. And I think people are voting. I think it's the number one issue. We'll see how it pans out, but I think it's the number one issue. I don't have to tell them that. I don't have to tell them that there'll be no violence. Of course there'll be no violence. My supporters are not violent people. I don't have to tell them that. And I certainly don't want any violence, but I certainly don't have to tell. These are great people. These are people that believe in no violence. Unlike your question, you believe in violence. Well, I think I'll be at Mar-a-Lago for the most part. We have a lot of political professionals. I'm going over now with Melania, who I'm very proud of. She's got the #1 bestseller. Can you believe that? He can believe it. But so we're very proud of the job she's done with that. The book is #1. But we're going to go over to the office in West Palm, and we're going to say hello to the workers. They've worked very hard. I think so. I mean, I hear we're doing very well there in Georgia. I hear we're doing very well. I hear we're doing very well everywhere. Now, I may regret that statement, but I'm hearing that we're doing very well.
They asked Trump if he would tell his supporters not to be violent. It was hard to hear that, but that's what they asked him, and he's like, I don't have to tell my supporters not to be violent. They're not violent. They're not going to be violent here. That's how wild this whole thing is, and that's how misled a lot of these people are in the news media. That's all they want. They want to associate President Trump with violence, knowing that he's not violent. He doesn't promote violence. It's the other side that has been doing that. And you can see that, like Biden said, he wants to smack him in the ass. This dude is weird. So, no, the violence is always on the other side. The summer of love, all of that. We saw it all. So that's how it is. That's the real story that they don't want. They don't want to tell us. So let me go back to hear a little bit more of Trump. Looks like my video is tweaking out.
Would you go louder? I haven't prepared a speech. I did speeches last night all day long, all night long. At 2 o'clock in the morning, we left. And, we did a lot of speeches. You can probably tell. No, I don't have to do that. You know, I'm not a Democrat. I'm able to make a speech on pretty quick notice. If I win, I know what I'm going to say, and I don't even want to think about the losing part. I would like to tell all of the people that are online to stay online. We have tremendous Republican lines, and I've been asked actually to say it. It takes a while. I'd like to just make the statement that I'd like the Republicans to stay online. Democrats, if they'd like, they can leave. But I'd like the Republicans to stay online.
Transform your ride with Hubcap Annie and Wheel. Our custom powder coating and wheel repair.
So I'm winning big cases. Those cases are all being won. The biggest case was the Florida case, and it's been won. I appreciate your nice question. No pressure whatsoever.
For nine years. Regardless of what happens tonight, is this your last campaign? Are you done after this?
Yeah, I would think so. I would think so. Sad, and very fulfilled. I think we're going to have a very big victory today.
Very good. Thank you.
We're already a transition team, but I don't like talking about that until I find out how we do. I mean, well, it doesn't. Look, we're not looking to do damage to Iran, but they can't have a nuclear weapon. So, my terms are very easy. They can't have a nuclear weapon. I'd like them to be a very successful country, but they just can't have a nuclear weapon. Well, I think Secret Service has been a little bit tougher, to put it mildly. I see more machine guns than I've ever seen in my life. We're surrounded by, I feel very confident with Secret Service. I think they've stepped up. Look, for a long time, they didn't give us the help. They didn't give us the assets, as they say, the manpower, woman power. They didn't give it to us. And we'd have rallies. You saw the rallies, 50, 60,000 people. And I'd have less people than Joe Biden, who had 5 people show up. And I'd have 55,000 people show up, and I had fewer people than him. So they should have done a much better job. And frankly, the president should make a very strong statement to the outside world, because I think my team is incredible. Look, they say it's the best run campaign they've seen. Some people said it's the best run campaign they've ever seen. But in order to make that stick, you have to win.
How do you feel compared to your past campaigns? Are you more confident now than you were about your team than you were in the last 2 races?
My team, I'm very confident in. Many of them are the same players. As you know, Susie, a lot of the people are the same players. They've been very good.
Mr. President, Oprah said at Harris's rally last night, quote, if we don't show up tomorrow, it is entirely possible we won't be able to count the ballot.
Well, I think it's ridiculous. Oprah, I was on her last show, or one of her last shows, and they picked the biggest people and all of that, and made a big deal. And I'm disappointed. I think Oprah's become a major divider in our country. And I think, frankly, she should be ashamed of herself. And you know who else should be ashamed? Fox. Because I've seen Oprah on Fox about 50 times making the same statement. And I think it's a disgrace what Fox does, because everyone thinks Fox is so pro-Trump. They're not pro-Trump at all. They've put Oprah on all morning long. That's all I see is Oprah. And, I knew Oprah very well. She's been at Mar-a-Lago many times. Roger King had his funeral. That's the head of King World, which was Oprah's mentor. And Oprah chose the location. She said, Mar-a-Lago is the most beautiful place. Would it be possible to have Roger's funeral at Mar-a-Lago in the ballroom? We did it. The only time I've ever had a funeral there. And I think Oprah should be ashamed of herself to say that. She should be ashamed. She knows me. She wanted to run with me as the vice president. She was going to be the vice president. She wrote me a letter. It's in the book. And now she goes and makes statements like that. She's a divider. And Barack Hussein Obama is a divider, too.
There are people who are concerned that you didn't concede the election in 2020 when you lost. They're concerned that if you lost this election, you wouldn't concede again. What do you say to those people?
I think they're crazy. If I lose an election, if it's a fair election, I'd be the first one to acknowledge it. And I think so far, I think it's been fair. I think there's been a lot of court cases. Both sides are lawyered up. Thousands of lawyers are involved. Thousands, can you imagine? And part of that is because we have too complicated a process. If we had a piece of paper watermarked, you know that paper is more sophisticated now than computers. It's watermarked paper. You cannot, it's unbelievable what happens with it. There's nothing you can do to cheat. And it costs you practically nothing to run. Think of it. We spend hundreds of millions and billions of dollars on these campaigns. You could do it for 8% of the cost and have accuracy, and we wouldn't have to be worried about when is Pennsylvania going to announce. It's really a shame.
Last question.
Well, he knows exactly what, but that's only based on what RFK told. I don't think RFK wanted that. You're talking about Health and Human Services. Let me tell you, he's a great guy, RFK, and he's going to do pretty much what he wants as far as I'm concerned. He wants health for women, for men, for children. And I happen to agree with a lot of the things he says. The one thing I told him, and I've told you in speeches for the last 2 weeks, we got to keep him away from the liquid gold, because the liquid gold, we have more than any of it. It's called oil and gas. That one I'm going to handle. Well, I'd be honored to have him. Now, I haven't spoken to Howard about that, but look, if you think of it, he came in third, in running for president, right? He ran a very good race. He had obstacles. The Democrats just really unfairly put obstacles up, and Henson Kennedy left the Democrat Party for the Republicans. Now, he's a very smart guy. He's a very caring guy. He's very popular, too. We get up and introduce him. The place goes wild. No, we love having him. And you know who else we love having? Elon. He's been great. And everybody. Look,
I love when
getting Joe Rogan last night.
When Trump talks about Kennedy, it's always great.
This is very inclusive. This is a movement. This is the greatest political movement in the history of our country.
Sure is.
And even you people, and some of you are fair sometimes, but it's the greatest movement in the history of our country. And I've made that statement 1,000 times. It has never been challenged. It is the greatest movement, and we're going to make America great again. Thank you all very much. Thank you.
That was great.
Nice to see you.
Trump went after it a little bit. They still try to ask questions. But the one about the violence that's got to be the kicker there. Are you going to tell them not to be violent? It's so ridiculous. These people just are disgusting. All right, well, that is Trump. I don't know if there's anything. This is the Fox News stream. Even they had a bad stream. That was a bad stream. So I guess that's probably it for now. See what
it looks like so far so good as the voting. We have seen in other swing states today things like bomb threats being called in. Do you have any security concerns? Have you experienced anything like that today or the days leading up to that election day?
Well, we saw some stuff that was breaking. One of your colleagues here asked a question about that video earlier. We have seen a couple of other minor instances at this stage of the game, though we haven't seen anything that has come to my knowledge today. I don't think the directors heard anything else either, and we're usually close to the first ones to know. And so I don't have anything like that to report, and that's a really positive thing. Let's find some wood to knock on over here that's the way it stays for the rest of the day, not just for the safety of our voters, but all the folks who are out there working to make this election go well. And I'll go right behind you. There was a question.
So about 45 minutes ago, the Navajo president said some voting machines were down in Apache County and voters were being voted away. What do voters do in that scenario if that does impact?
So I can't confirm right now what is being reported apparently out of Apache County, but what I can say is this. If, in fact, you do have a circumstance as a voter at a polling location in Arizona, don't go away and don't let anybody outside of that space turn you away. And our poll workers should be hoping that folks can either stay there and vote or redirect them to a vote center nearby, which is the best protocol. But folks can always just hang tight for a while. Usually the elections officials can deal with issues pretty quickly. Oftentimes you'll get maybe a printer that has a jam, or they might run out of paper, we've got folks all over the state who are ready to troubleshoot these sorts of things. In fact, that's part of our regular planned protocol. So if we do, we'll definitely check into Apache County and what's going on up there. I don't have any personal knowledge to confirm what you're asking about, but we'll get there.
We can talk about serial planners. Election administrators are serial planners. So they have backup plans to the backup plans. So they have additional paper ballots. They also have accessible voting devices, so people can vote on those if they have a printer jam with a ballot on demand printer. So lots of various options, and every county has different setups.
Thank you. Yeah.
Adam from ABC 15, just wondering if you can clarify again, just with Mojave County, we were getting messages from viewers saying it was a computer glitch or something of that nature. You said it was a power outage there, and things are back up and running.
Yeah, our understanding was it was a power outage, and they got back up by about 6:20 this morning. I got the text message once it got down the chain to me a little after 6:30 this morning that we were 100% open, and that came from the ACTIC, one of our fusion centers that has all that information. So I think we're in good shape. Yes, ma'am.
All right, let's go and look at some other things. Just a few other clips. I'm going to play this clip.
The stars on the show today, and we've got another one on our set this morning. Kelly McEnany joins us now. Should Democrats be nervous?
Look, I mean, I think Van Jones makes a fair point. That, by the way, is someone who said in 2016, don't underestimate Trump. So he kind of has his ear to the ground a little bit with the people. I wouldn't be nervous if I were Trump. Look, anything can happen. Most of the polling estimates show it 50-50. It could go either way. It's a coin toss. It's a photo finish. I think that's right. However, Donald Trump leads in the early vote in Arizona, in Nevada, in North Carolina, in Georgia. 2 of those states Republican did not have a lead 4 years ago.
Do we know that?
Yes.
We don't know how they voted. We simply know that more Republicans have turned up. That's
exactly. We know party identification. Now, could there be Nikki Haley Republicans that voted for Kamala? Absolutely, there could be. We also don't know the makeup of the independent vote. The independent vote could go either way, which could shift the entire calculus. So there's so much unknown, but I'd feel good if I were Trump based on the early vote, based on the late polling.
The concert idea, singers, entertainers, doesn't work as well as Trump just getting out there and addressing the crowd and ad-libbing, does it?
Stuart, last night, I'm watching Trump's rally in Pittsburgh, and I see guys in hard hats. And these are individuals who presumably defected from their unions that endorsed Kamala Harris.
We've got that story.
And so you have that, and then you contrast that with these celebrities. And I was just looking at net worths this morning, $3 billion, $1.6 billion, $1.4 billion, huge net worths. And it is very much out of touch. Now, is it a deal breaker? I don't think so. However, I think the days of Beyonce chose this way, therefore I choose this way, are days of the past, if they ever even existed.
Got it. Remember Mark Cuban saying that Trump's not... He doesn't surround himself with strong, intelligent women. Here's a chance for you to refute that, because you were Donald Trump's press secretary. You show some strength and intelligence, I'd say.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Mark Cuban, when I heard this, it just rolled off the tongue so easily. And yes, he apologized, but he said afterwards a declarative statement emphasizing what he said. It wasn't this moment where he said something and, thought to himself, oh, why did I say that? It was very clear what he said. And I thought about the people I worked with. I thought about Hope Hicks. I thought about Margot Martin, Sarah Sanders, all of these intelligent, strong, Ivanka Trump, someone who really changed the Republican Party and said, let's be the party of paid family leave and the child tax credit. They're not strong, intelligent women. And by the way, if that's your assessment of those of us who worked or were around him, what's your assessment of the female Trump voter?
I think you said it all. Katie McEnany, thank you very much for taking time out. You'll be working all day and all night, won't you?
All day, but I was excited to be here with you. Thank you, Stuart.
Good one. All right, let's see. Just one more. This will be it. Trump has a 92% chance of winning the election if he wins this state.
This is a good time to bring in my colleague, Brett Baer, who, along with Martha McCallum, will be anchoring the Fox News coverage all day long. All right, Brett, you're a lucky guy.
Yeah.
Consequential election. When do we get the results?
That's a great question. I think we're going to know a lot early, Stuart. We have this thing, Fox News Voter Analysis, that is 100,000 voters, kind of a rolling poll over 7 days. It started last week. It goes into today and as they're leaving the polls. So if that number, all those stats, match what we see in the raw vote total coming in, then we know we're kind of on the right track. And then our predictions base off of that. So Georgia, North Carolina is going to come in early. Michigan's a fast state. We'll have a picture early in the night of whether our stuff is matching.
Can you take us through the path to victory for both candidates? For example, what is Trump's easiest path to 270 votes, Electoral College?
Pennsylvania is key for both of them. Pennsylvania, if Trump wins, he has a 92% chance of winning. How about that? If he wins Pennsylvania.
That says it
And
all.
so that is why you saw Kamala Harris 5 stops yesterday in Pennsylvania. I think that they sense that it may have been slipping in recent days, the Harris campaign, which is why the 5 stops on the close. If she wins Pennsylvania, Trump still has a number of different paths. Her paths get a lot better if she wins Pennsylvania. It's that much of a crucial state. And which is why there's a lot of people looking back saying, why didn't she pick Adam Shapiro or Josh Shapiro?
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, good thing.
The governor.
Am I right in saying that if the trend either way is a landslide for Trump or a landslide for Harris, then you'll know very quickly tonight where this thing's going?
Yes. If Harris wins Georgia and North Carolina, we can see that. It is going to paint a picture for the rest of the night. And listen, if you looked at the Real Clear average of polls, it's so tight in all 7 of those battleground states. If they shifted one way towards Harris, she could win 6 of 7. If it shifts 1% the other way, he could win 7 of 7. So we could be in a situation where we know the result tonight, or it could be a situation where we don't know the result tonight and it takes a long, long time.
You're going to be up all night, aren't you?
Yes, it'll be at least
all the way
3
through,
a.m.
no matter what. Is this the most exciting election of your long career?
Yeah. So I was thinking this is the 9th election cycle that I've been in the anchor desk, taking over from Brit Hume.
Yeah.
And I think it's by far the tightest, by far. And anything can happen, which is why I think, a lot of people around the world are going to be tuning in to every iteration tonight.
You'll have a big audience, Brett.
I think so.
You're quite famous, Brett Baier, great guy. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks,
we appreciate it.
All right. Well, I'm going to leave it there for now. We'll be back hopefully this evening to cover the good news. And hopefully the good news will be that Trump wins, that he has won. But we'll see. It's all in God's hands. And remember, Jesus Christ loves you, and so do I. Until then, God bless you all.